Well, thank you tonight for coming. Okay, tonight we're going to talk about hidden food dangers. Now, one of the toughest things, and this goes, I've got a few medical doctors now as patients, and it's really unusual to see their mindset, because they'll go in there and they'll say, well, yeah, we'd give diet and recommendations to people all the time. Okay, but they don't follow it. It's too hard. Okay, they'll give recommendations for type 2 diabetics, and they'll say, well, yeah, you got to diet more, you got to exercise more, and that'll help your blood sugar. In the meantime, take this drug. Okay, now, there's not a motivating factor. If you understood that what you put in your body is going to affect your finances, okay, leading cause of bankruptcies, okay, it's medical costs. If you know it's going to affect your love life, okay, we're talking impotence, we're talking diseases, cancers, we're talking assisted living centers. All of these things can be avoided if you know that what you put in your body, it makes a difference. Okay, so it's not optional. It's not to say, well, I'll think about it when it's important. No, this affects every aspect of your life. Okay, so when you realize that, the choices that you make are going to be really, really clear. Because if this still looks like food to you, okay, then you're lacking awareness. You're not understanding what's in it and how your body processes it. Okay, does that make sense? So the whole point tonight, I just want to get your awareness level up a little bit more. Okay, so when you look at this, all disease, and this goes on the ability to live independently your entire life and live healthy, or live in an assisted living center stroked out with a heart disease. Okay? If your body builds up faster than it breaks down, you have health. If it breaks down faster than you build up, you have disease. Okay? I mean, it's really that simple. So if you put toxic stuff in your system, it's going to be okay. Now there's a drainage outside that runs alongside of the road, down alongside Beach Blvd. When it rains, water flows in that gutter. Now, do you think that water's healthy or sick? It's sick water, yeah. You know, it's going to have some pesticide runoff. It's going to have some oil from the cars. It's going to be in there. Now, if you went out and drank that water, would you get sick? Yeah, you probably would. So now, could I give you antibiotics and drugs and things to keep you alive while you had that habit of drinking sewer water?
That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, okay? And it's just as ridiculous to have a doctor prescribe a drug for a sick, unhealthy lifestyle to monitor your physiology. So I want you to, that's why when I look at a Twinkie, it doesn't look like food. It looks like some novelty item. Okay, so when we look at this, let's first talk about meat. Okay, now I used to advocate healthy animals, healthy meat, occasional 10% of your diet. That's not true anymore. Okay, for one thing, when you go by the supermarket and you see that beautiful red piece of dead animal flesh, know that it's probably been treated with carbon monoxide. Yeah, that's a deadly poison if you breathe it in. But what's neat is, have you ever seen someone that died of carbon monoxide poisoning? They look so healthy. They look all pink and beautiful. Okay, they're dead. Okay, but what they found out, if you pour this poison inside of meat, it looks red, and red typically looks healthy. Well, see, we always have known that diseases are higher in people that consume animal products. And animal products include fish, chicken, beef, lamb, bear, dairy, lizard, rat, whatever kind of dead animal flesh it is. It's going to encompass all of those. Because when I say avoid meat products to some patients, they'll say, well, okay, good, I don't eat any meat, but I do have my chicken. No, chicken's an animal. Okay, so nothing. So when you look at this, we knew diseases were always higher in people that ate more animal flesh. But we couldn't figure out what the source of it was. Now was it that the pancreas was working too hard? Was there digestive? Was there certain saturated fats attached to proteins? Did it negatively affect you some way? Well, this article came out in the Nutritional Immunology journal. Now, you can find copies of this and a brilliant doctor at nutritionfacts.org. But what they found is that it's not the meat. It's the bacteria that lives on the meat. And it's not even the bacteria, because we can kill the bacteria by heating it up or radiating or something. It's endotoxins inside of the bacteria that once it's killed, it breaks open, and those endotoxins stimulate your immune system to cause inflammation systemically. This means that you cannot have a safe, healthy animal product anymore. And in fact, you can heat up animals to over 300 degrees centigrade. This is almost 600 degrees for a half hour, and the endotoxins are still viable. You could soak it in acid, like the stomach, and it still is viable. You can't neutralize these toxins. Systemic inflammation, which is a bummer, because this means all animal products are toxic to the system. So you have to, go on, ask. I know what you're thinking about. Where do I get the protein? You thinking about that?
What about an egg?
Spinach? You think spinach has enough protein in it?
A lot.
She is so smart. Yes, it does. And it's bioavailable. Plants have all the protein that you're ever going to require. Now, this is interesting because I'm going to show you a couple of studies that go along these fashions. So now, first off, dead animals is one thing, but if you take multiple parts of dead animals and put them in a tube, let's call it a hot dog, okay, at University of Irvine, they say that the kids that eat 3 hot dogs a week have a 10 to 12-fold increased risk of cancer. Now, when I was a kid, okay, the animals back in 1960s, I know that was a long time ago, okay? Well, you got out of the horse and buggy and you walked up to the store. But you know, hot dogs, okay, they were a totally different animal. They didn't have bovine growth hormone. They didn't have certain preservatives. They didn't have things that were incredibly toxic. So if you were raised with hot dogs and you made it to, 50, 60 years old, I got to tell you, it's a totally different animal now. This is not what you were raised with. Now, if we knew this, how could the Fraud and Deception Association approve this to be eaten? I mean, if we were running this country, wouldn't it be cool to have an agency that actually looked at the food and looked at the drugs and made sure that they were safe for human consumption? I think that would be cool. Here's another study of the United Kingdom. Now, they say as little as 1 breakfast sausage, okay, look at this, per day, just 1 sausage. Now, we're not talking, and this, I was watching AMC the other day, and they had a sandwich called the Baconator. Okay, I guess meat doesn't have enough nitrates in it, and we're talking, and they're saying, oh yeah, Baconator. And I'm going, oh my gosh. So when you look at it, this is 1 little tiny sausage per day. It's not a Baconator, it's not 3 slices of bacon, it's not a pastrami sandwich, it's not Del Taco, it's not Kentucky Fried Chicken. All of those have worse things in it than just 1 hot dog or 1 sausage a day. But what they say is, and here's the World Cancer Research Science Advisor, when it comes to eating processed meats, the safest amount is to eat none at all. Okay, why? Because you can't have a safe animal product. So this means the advice that I've been given for years to eat healthy animals has been wrong. So why am I able to change? Because I'm always reading, I'm always studying. So, you got to change. You got to go with the science. Okay, so when we look at this, what about fish, doctor? Well, 70% of all farmed fish comes from China. So when you go to Mastriano's or you go to some fancy restaurant and they have that beautiful piece of salmon, understand that salmon more than likely came from a factory farm in China. Okay, now what's tough is, and this is interesting, since the 80s, they're the largest exporter of seafood. Most of the waterways in these seafood producing regions, it's called the Fu Long region or the Long River region, the waterways are so toxic they can't be used for anything. Now let's say you're a Chinese farmer. Okay, let's say you're a farmer anywhere. Okay, you've got to get your product to market. You got to make sure that they're alive long enough to get there. And you got this toxic water coming down. So what they found out, now let's say that you're growing these fish that are going to have these massive tumors in the meat. Restaurants aren't going to buy them, okay? So you get these massive tumors forming in the meat because of the toxic water. Just like my analogy of drinking the sewer water, these little creatures got to grow up in there living in it. So what they found out, if you mix a whole bunch of veterinarian drugs in with the water, and then some other pesticides and things, the fish will get cancers and stuff, but it won't be in the meat. So you can sell them. Okay, I know. Okay, they were losing 30% of the catch. So when I say, yeah, no meat products, okay, this makes it pretty easy. Now it's kind of interesting that this was out of the biology at Hong Kong Baptist University. They tested some fish samples and they found heavy metals, mercury, and flame retardant. So don't worry, it's safe to smoke around the fish. I know. I need a clicker that sounds like a cricket. You know, when I say something that I think is really funny and nobody else does. Okay, this is what me and my sister used to have back in 1968, and it didn't have the same ingredients back then. Filet of fish sandwich. Okay, yes, I walked on the dark side too. Now, this is not the patty. This is not the bun. This is not the sauce. This is only the filet of fish ingredients, the patty itself of fish. Now, it's generally pollock or haddock, hokai. Inside of the patty, it has bleached white flour, modified cornstarch, yellow corn flour, dextrose, salt, yeast, glum, natural flavors, partially hydrogenated vegetable oils, soybean oil, which is genetically modified, by the way, hydrogenated corn oil. That means they add a hydrogen to the corn oil in order to make it last longer. Canola oil, which is also called rapeseed oil, which is also genetically modified. Cottonseed oil, which is also genetically modified. Okay, sunflower oil, and TBHQ. This happens to be citric acid added to preserve the freshness. Yes, and don't worry, it has dimethylpolysiloxane, which is an anti-foaming agent, because by gosh, you don't want that baby foaming. Yum. Okay, now if I wanted to really gross you out, I'd put the ingredients of the sauce, and then we could go into the bovine growth hormone and the pus and the antibiotics inside of the cheese. We're not even going to talk about the genetically modified bun. But now the Fraud and Deception Association approves this. We even saw this kid recovering from cancer, a little tiny child, and if you look before 1960, childhood cancers were virtually non-existent, but now you see little posters, you know, like we used to see polio or muscular dystrophy, you know, the little girls that had it, you know, raise dimes for them. Now it's all, March of Dimes, now it's all cancer kids that we're seeing. Okay, well, this is why there's an exponential rise in cancer. Now also, this is something you've got to be aware of, is oils. Oils go rancid really fast. Now, what's interesting is, you know, to find out if the oil's rancid, you would pick it up and look at the date on it, right? And what will it say? Best if used by. Okay, have you seen that? You know, even on packages it said best is used by. Well, for some reason, some scientists decided to test it. Ooh, I know. It's you can feel like a drum roll. Well, this was a study out of the International Journal of Food and Science Nutrition, published in 2009. What they found was, and they tested almond, avocado, hazelnut, macadamia, and grapeseed, rice bran, toasted sesame seed oil, and walnut oil. Now, on the right is the best before date. Now, my favorite one's walnut oil, because walnut oil, if you look nutritionally, it's absolutely a fantastic oil. And when you look on the jar, it says, my gosh, it's good for about 12 months. Now, that's 12 months stored in a dark container in a cool environment in the optimal conditions, okay? It never drove in a truck to get to you, it never drove in your car to get home, and it was never exposed to sunlight. Okay, so we're talking the absolute optimal conditions. It's going to last, according to the manufacturer, 12 months. In actual fact, it lasted a little bit over 2 weeks. So that means it's instantly rancid. So when you're cooking with oils or when you're using oils, understand that certain fats are absolutely toxic to your system, because rancid oils can actually be very, very negative to you. This is why if you're going to use oil, coconut oil is about the safest one and essential, but you can get fats from healthy plants. Try an avocado. It's actually very, very good. Like one of my favorite meals, do you remember the tomato with the buffalo mozzarella and the basil? Okay. Okay, well you can't have the buffalo mozzarella because that's loaded with toxins now. So try this. Get a big slab of tomato, a big hunk of avocado on there, and then a big hunk of basil on there. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. On this one, it wasn't, well, they just tested a few oils. They didn't test olive oil. But what they found, and this was frustrating, almond oil, they said it would last 14 months. It only lasted 3. Avocado oil, they said it would last 13. It lasted 7. Grapeseed oil, they said it would last 6. It only lasted 3. The interesting thing is macadamia nut oil. It actually lasted 15 months. It was quite a bit more than the 5 months that they said. And that was a good manufacturing ploy, because if you're getting this oil and you want somebody to use it, you don't want to let them know that they've got a product that'll last forever. Yeah. So, I mean, good manufacturing. Now, soy. Soy is not a health food. Soy was originally designed as an industrial lubricant. There was a big push in order to help domestic oil production. Okay, and this was going back about 50 years ago. See, we used to use nothing but canola or tropical oils, canola oil and palm oils. Reason is because they had a tremendous shelf life, they were high heat oils, they were fantastic, but they weren't produced in this country. So the big push was to say that coconut oil was bad and, everything else was bad except for soy oil. So now soy products got the reputation of being health food. However, they're absolutely poisonous. In fact, soy products will block protein absorption. And a really good book, okay, this is by Dr. Daniel. It's called The Whole Soy Story. Yes, I speak professionally for a living. Okay, you just saw me trip over my tongue. Okay, so when you look at this, you're talking malnutrition, digestive disorders, immune system breakdown, thyroid dysfunction, cognitive decline. Because when you look at this, it shouldn't be in there. Now, when you look at all the packages, and this is part of the handout, you'll see 2 pages on things, and you'll actually see soy protein isolate there. That's actually turning soy into plastic. And we're not even talking about it being genetically modified. But we know that soy products are linked to breast cancer, brain damage, thyroid disorder, kidney stones. The worst thing, and this is a crime, is to have a pediatrician, someone responsible for the health of children, suggesting an infant formula with soy. It's just mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. Criminal. And then if you know that soy formula is more than likely, because over 90% is genetically modified, and it's mixed with high fructose corn syrup, which is genetically modified, and you mix it with tap water, which has fluoride in it, and then you microwave this concoction and give it to a child, I mean, that's just beyond crazy. 50 years from now, they're going to look back at this and say, my gosh, I hope they crucified those people. Now, this is interesting. This was done on a 60-minute episode about a few months ago about the flavor artist. Now, what they want to do, now this is the challenge, because if you're into making chemicals or consuming chemicals, what you want something that has a long shelf life, initial power, so you taste it and you go, wow, this is great. And then you want it to leave you wanting more, and you want it cheap. Now, do you see healthy, good, beneficial? No, because we don't care about people. We care about marketing and profits. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to have these flavors inside. So when you see natural flavors, know that could be from a beaver gland. Okay? Why? Because it's very, very powerful. And we could say natural flavors. Now let's say we were going to take a dead chicken raised in a horrible environment and the meat is just one shade above rotted. Now, we're going to mix this with a preservative that actually leaves it completely bland. We're going to store it in a refrigerator or freezer for months at end. Then we're going to roll it in genetically modified breadcrumbs. So in order to make this taste good, we want to mix in a neurotoxin. Now, this is something poisonous to the brain. It's poisonous to the nervous system, and it's actually going to cause autoimmune disorders. We're also going to deep fry it in genetically modified oil. Now, in order to do this, the neurotoxin we're going to mix in with it is MSG. But you're educated, so you understand that MSG is not good. Although you can go up to the Asian market up here and buy a package of MSG. Me and my son were talking about doing that just for fun. Okay, I don't know who we'd give it to, but maybe give it to the local pediatrician. I was going to think, give it to the local pediatrician. You're giving this stuff to the kids, let's give it to you. Well, these are 40 different names that are legally MSG. Yes, you too can have soy protein isolate and call it MSG. So if you're into food manufacturing, this is what our government allows you to do. They allow you to put poisons in the food, and to get it by the educated public, we can call it natural flavors. Yes, ma'am.
They put in protein powder.
Yes, it is. It's absolutely disgusting. Okay, now, were you raising your hand? Yes, ma'am.
Is soy sauce bad for you?
Yes, it is. Is soy sauce bad for you? Yes, it is. Yep, unless it's fermented from organic soy, and that's very, very rare. Now, what I like about this is we understand this. So now the law was passed, well, the recommendation by the USDA that fruits, I know this is big, big. Fruits and vegetables are good for you. And if we give them to children in schools, it may help them study, help them focus, and reduce any illness rates, because fruits and vegetables are actually good for you. Okay, so now the Congress has got a tough job. They're spending more money than they're making. So they got to comply with these recommendations, okay? So now you don't get to Congress by being stupid, okay? You got to be smart. So let's take the shell game. They got to get more fruits and vegetables in schools for school lunches, but that's expensive. So let's make it up. Okay, now is tomato a fruit or a vegetable?
It's fruit.
Tomato is actually a fruit. Okay, so we can make believe that the sauce on a frozen pizza is a vegetable. So what the Congress passed is that pizza is now a vegetable. Yes, that's the shell game. Okay, so this way they didn't need to change anything, and they complied with the regulations. The problem is, this is the ingredients of the tomatoes. You thought that the fillet of fish patty was a little unusual. It has the mechanical characteristics, geometrical characteristics. This means that when you put it in your mouth, it feels like a tomato. Okay. The feel and size and shape, arrangement of appropriate food particles, and other characteristics relating to sensations of moisture, fat, and oil in the mouth. So they want the flavor, they want the feel and the texture, so you feel like you're eating something that's alive. Now, what the sauce is tomato paste, pizza seasoning, sugar, spices, and you start looking at this and you think, wait, there's no real tomato in here. It's chemicals with textures and vegetables. Okay, so obviously we cannot trust our government to do it. I mean, the meat industry is subsidized by government. Okay, that's why you can go out and buy a hamburger for 69 cents. This is why single parents and people that are on a tight budget, they're buying animal products because vegetables are too expensive. And when you go out there and you can get 49 cents for a liter of high fructose laden corn syrup, and water of the same size costs $3, and you've got 6 kids with 1 income, what are you going to do?
Cheapest.
You got to go to the cheapest. Okay, so this is totally different. Now, high fructose corn syrup, now this was interesting. It was the American Society of Nephrology. It was an exposition in San Diego. What they found was that the high fructose corn syrup consumption, the more it goes up, the higher diabetes rates go up. Okay, and it's not just diabetes. Okay, it's the poisoning of the body. So this is not a food product that your body recognizes. So see, when you eat something, your body's got to look at that, and if it's protein, it's got to break it to amino acids. If it's fats, it got to break it to fatty acids. If it's sugar or carbohydrates, you got to break it down to usable sugars. If it can't do it, or when it breaks it down that those products are toxic, you're going to have a disease rate. Now this is interesting. I was talking to one of my medical doctor patients, and I said, hey, have you seen the long-term human studies on genetically modified foods? They said no. And I said, I know you haven't, because there isn't any. Again, I just dig my sense of humor. Okay, but when you look at this, okay, so what's interesting is genetically modified foods, and this is really frustrating, they use a virus to carry a gene into a plant. And so they're doing something totally different. And they're doing it only because they can patent the seed and sell it, and they're only doing it so that the thing will be supposedly resistant to certain bugs and supposedly resistant to certain pesticides that they can spray on. So you get the patent from that, and you get to sell more pesticides. Now, it's considered by the Fraud and Deception Association as GRAS, generally recognized as safe. Except when you look at this, and this is brilliant, the insecticides, the one type of corn, it's called BT corn, the pollen is so toxic, and they designed it this way that the pollen is a pesticide itself. The problem is when human beings eat it, they found it in the bloodstream of pregnant women and in the bloodstream of fetuses. So it's a type of neurotoxin that crosses the blood-brain barrier and crosses the barrier from the mom to the fetus. So that's unusual. Now, this one, Jeffrey Smith is brilliant, okay? He's talking that all we need is 5%, because obviously a poisonous product that's never been tested on humans really goes on the old hidden dangers of food. Over 90% of grains, over 90% of soy, over 90% of canola oil, all of these are modified genetically, so they're absolutely toxic and dangerous. So go to responsibletechnology.org. This year in California, we passed a bill to just have this labeled. That's it. Not to ban it, not to study it, not to put Monsanto, who has most of the patents, up under criminal charges, which is what really should happen if it was a fair environment, but just to have it labeled. So you got a choice of a can of genetically modified, okay, beans, or a can of normal beans, okay? Or you get, a corn that's genetically modified or a corn that's not genetically modified. That's it. It's just a law to label it. And they're fighting it tooth and nail because they did that in Europe, and the consumer stopped the production. Because all we need is 5% of the population not buying something, and then the industry is going to change. But right now, with the lack of awareness, they're going to do it. What I like is the animal studies show organ damage, gastrointestinal damage, immune system damage, accelerated aging, and infertility. The long-term human studies aren't done yet. We're still in that testing stage. So if you're buying anything from package, you are in the testing stage. We could look at somebody like this. Now let's say we're feeding him genetically modified, or a population that this, we would have 30% diabetics, we'd have 20% with depression, asthma, 14% of America's kids are in special needs programs. Okay, so we're really losing a generation, but that's okay, I'll be considered really smart then. I just wish they were honest, and said, hey, look, if you eat this, you're going to be dumber. So this is actually real food. It's living food. It has natural occurring enzymes in it, and your body knows what to do with it. Remember, if your body can break it down to protein, fats, and amino acids, and these dark green leafy vegetables are loaded with protein. You're looking at protein, fats, carbohydrates. You can get it all from this. It's very, very simple. And in the raw state, I'm telling you right now, what I had for lunch today, raw broccoli dipped in raw hummus, and then I broke it up, and I had some peppers, and I rolled it in this big thing of organic seaweed, and I had about 4 of those burritos, and it was really good. Okay, now, fruits and vegetables, 1 serving a day lowers heart attack risk, lowers disease risks. I mean, we could go in on behaviors. This is one of the frustrating things. People think that vitamins, in fact, 1-a-day vitamins, the one vitamin that has everything in it, are good for you, and they're not. They're not. So if you're taking Centrum or you're taking some type of vitamin, the body doesn't work that way. You can't go to a B12 bush. You can't go to an ascorbic acid bush, okay? You don't dig up a plant by the roots and pull out, a vitamin E, okay? All vitamins are found in conjunction with bioflavonoids and phytonutrients in nature. This was an interesting study out of the Archives of Internal Medicine. It followed women for a 19-year period, found out that if you took that 1-a-day vitamin from Centrum or Puritan's Pride or GNC, it's all the same thing because they're all different chemicals, that you had a 6% greater rate of dying. So vitamins are not harmful, but the source of it is. So if you look at most B vitamins, okay, it comes from coal tar or petroleum. See, what they're looking at is they can see the structure of what a B vitamin looks like. So they can chemically match that signature so it's very, very similar. In fact, it's similar enough to call it a B vitamin. It's like a house mouse. A house mouse has 92% of my DNA. Actually, a banana has 25% of my DNA. Okay. A monkey has 99% of my DNA. So we're really close. Don't say anything about being a monkey. Okay. But when you look at this, close is not it. Okay? So, it's got to be like right on. So when we look at this, magnesium stearate, you can see this in a lot of different products. Great preservative, okay? It blocks the immune system. How would you like to put that in a vitamin? Or ascorbic acid. I'm telling you right now that when the New England Medical Journal tested a 10,000 milligram vitamin C tablet with an orange, and the orange won, if you go to the doctor and the doctor says, look, take 4 of these 10,000 milligram vitamin C tablets and that will help your immune system. If he said, hon, go home and eat 4 oranges, he'd say, God, my mom could have told me that. I don't need to come here. Okay. Can you see that? Okay. Even though the orange is a heck of a lot more effective, anything, the way your digestive works, you eat something, it goes in your stomach, it goes in your intestine, it has to go filter, it has to filter through these veins. So if it's the Tylenol or Advil, that thing gets filtered through these veins, okay, and cause damage to the liver and the kidneys and the intestinal tract. It damages the cartilage. If you eat an animal product, those endotoxins are carried via the fats, okay? Inside, it can create holes in the intestinal tract where you get toxic stuff flowing through these veins. This is why it damages the pancreas, why it damages the liver. Okay, this is huge. Anything you put in your mouth is going to become you. In the old days, we would pray over food because we had that realization. I mean, to thank God for giving it to us, but also it's going to become you. So this is important. Oh yeah, I have a glass of vegetable juice every day. Okay, this is what patients have told me. Have you seen Tropicana orange juice or the orange juice in stores? When you make it at home, does it separate in the pulp and clear fluid? How come theirs doesn't separate? Because even when it says not pasteurized and not from concentrate, it is pasteurized and it is from concentrate. Wait, how do we come up with that? Okay, well, first off, it's the laws. Remember the Congress that gave you pizza as a vegetable? Well, they also told us that and this is part of it, orange juice that's pasteurized after having first been concentrated can be labeled not from concentrate. Just like from concentrate processing, not from concentrate process destroys the juice natural flavor. Oh. Congress said it's okay. The largest producers of not from concentrate use a production process where the juice is placed in an aseptic storage with the oxygen stripped from it for up to a year. A flavor pack is added in the final step just to give the juice flavor. That's why it tastes uniformly like something. Okay, so yeah, I know it's not real. Now it's interesting. Soft drinks. Okay, some schools are removing it, but they found out that food affects behavior, and this is why when they switch schools with violent behavior to a vegetarian lifestyle, violent incidences go down. And it turns out that if you drink soda, and this was the injury prevention. It's published online. They said if teenagers drink, okay, and we're talking just more than 5 12-ounce sodas a day, which is, five a week, not a day, 5 a week, so that's like 1 a day. Carrying a gun, 42%, violent incidents, almost 60%. So obviously what we're putting in there is affecting our brain. And this is the list that you have. If you have a package on this, and when I'm really mean to, say, a parent that doesn't get it, I'll give this list to their kids, and I'll turn their children against them. I'll say, honey, you want to protect mom and dad? Go to the cupboard. If it says this on there, throw it away. Okay? Kids are smart. Kids are rebels. Kids do this stuff. I love them. Okay. I mean, this right here, Sherry. She had a 58-year-old gal, memory problems, and we're talking multiple medications, everything else, massive nerve pressure, fibromyalgia, high blood pressure. I mean, within 2 weeks, her blood pressure was normal. Within 90 days, she had an appropriate, vegetarian diet. She was scaling back. I think she only ate Twinkies like once a year then. But you can see we're seeing reversal of arthritis, a restoration of disc, and that's 90 days. This is normal stuff. Serotonin. Depression is affecting our population more now than it ever has. Why? Because serotonin, the feel-good hormones produced in the gut. If you put toxic products in the gut, do you think your body's going to be able to produce serotonin? No. So how come 100% of the people with depression and anxiety, we restore their gut function and get their nervous system working right, they get over it? It's almost like your body's smart and gives symptoms for a reason. I mean, this is amazing. If serotonin, and 90% of it's produced in the gut, it affects mood, arousal, appetite. Okay, so that means if your body's not producing it, it affects mood, arousal, appetite. Okay, does that make sense? So it can positively or negatively affect every aspect of it. And I just dig this picture. I'm looking at bioactive enzymes. I'm looking at phytonutrients. I'm looking at, this is food. This is stuff you can eat, and it doesn't even need to be prepared. I love the doctors. Journal of the American Medical Association, they used to say, don't eat nuts if you have diverticulitis. Then they were saying that the same thing all the time. And then they found out, that people that ate nuts, seeds, and everything had less incidence of diverticulitis. It turned out that eating these foods caused the colon to work better and the body can recover. The colon is one of the neatest organs around. Colitis, Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, those can all be cured in about 30 to 90 days at the outside. And if you look on the medical websites, they can't be cured. And the reason is because how they're treated. You can't treat Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, colon dysfunction with steroids and not paying attention to the diet. But how much nutrition do gastroenterologists get? Hopefully they're reading their own journal. Juicing versus eating. If you have gastrointestinal problems, if you have digestive issues, if you've had a toxic lifestyle, this is the key to getting rid of it. Because you didn't know about the hidden dangers of food before this talk. Okay, you might have been exposed to this stuff. So this is how you clean it up. You juice. Why? Because this gets soluble fiber inside of your body. This will clean the arteries out. When you look at this, enzymes, you got to get healthy raw enzymes. We have an enzyme expert that's going to be speaking at the first week in September. Janine Stewart, brilliant gal. Okay, ideal because that helps break it down. This is one of the worst cleanses to do on the planet. Well, I should say best. It's the most effective, but it's absolutely disgusting. You have to have multiple drinks a day. Okay, these are cleansing drinks of bentonite clay, followed by massive amounts of organic supplements. So you're talking chlorella, wheat germ oil, natural source vitamin C, whole beet products. So you get up, you have a cleansing drink. Then you have supplements and a cleansing drink, then supplements and a cleansing drink, then supplements and a cleansing drink, and you do this for 7 days. Okay, then you start it with a colonic and finish it with a colonic. Okay, This is out of veirons.com, and I'm telling you right now, if you do this once or twice a year, you're going to feel incredible. Okay, but it's 1 week that is tough. This gal here, fibromyalgia for 10 years. Now, you're looking at a single mom here. Okay, single mom, 2 kids, 36 years old, hairstylist, and she couldn't work. Her hands were going numb. She could stand up for maybe an hour. Okay, now if you can't work and you're a single mom with 2 kids, okay, this is scary, right? She's been to every healthcare professional, and they all tell her the same thing. You know, honey, there's no hope. You know, take aspirin, take drugs. Here's some muscle relaxants. Was she happy or sad? You have chronic depression. Here's some antidepressants. Okay, we know the side effect is suicide. So did she have a lot of time and energy for a 2-year-old? No. Well, she comes in here and the same thing. We tell her about nutrition. We get her nervous system adjusted, and you can see it's a heck of a lot better and more in alignment. She had no more inflammation. She was able to start jogging. She works out every day. I saw her this morning, and she said, you know, my leg's sore because I was doing that stair stepper, and I just had it up. And I go, hon, I love fixing an athlete instead of fixing someone who's toxic. So this is the difference. We're supposed to use our body and be healthy. But look at it that the body's intelligent, and it does give you symptoms for a reason. You have to put good ingredients in it. And of course her diet was radically shifted too. This is what your body requires, okay? You require nerve supply. You do require regular exercise, and you do require proper nutrition. It's tough to be healthy in America today because you're lied to. You're absolutely lied to. This past weekend, I went to go get spring water. And I mean spring water. I mean water from a spring. The closest one, that spring water that we have, and you can go to findaspring.com, it's 2.5 hours away. And we're driving down Highway 74, which must be trucker's heaven. We pass by a Denny's, then an Applebee's, then a Jack in the Box, then a McDonald's, then a Del Taco, then a Long John Silver's, then, oh my gosh, here's a Kentucky Fried Chicken, another Jack in the Box, wait, a McDonald's. Oh, and it was so amazing because I'm looking at all of these restaurants and there's no food there. I'm looking at all of these restaurants and I'm thinking, this is crazy because this is going on for like 6 miles on this one road going through Hemet. And I'm going, this is insane. If people are eating this stuff, there's got to be a hospital close by, emergency room. And I think, wow, oh my gosh, I wish I could take a picture of this so people would see. I guess, then we passed by the mortuary. Okay, so it's appropriate. If we put this stuff in our body, our society is not going to be healthy. Proper nutrition means vegan lifestyle, organic. There is no other choice. That's it. Sufficient rest every night and prayer and meditation. Absolutely. That's the key. You can reverse disease using this formula. Now, it is summertime. We have patients, one coming from England now. We have one coming from Guam, and we have 2 coming from Canada. Okay, guess how much it's going to cost them to get x-rays, exam, physical report? $20. That's it. You know, because we're all part of the same family. You know, and Lori has coupons over there. Please give them. Tell people we got to save lives. And all of these are recorded. Next week, we're going to talk about vaccinations, and I know this is going to sound crazy because vaccines were originally thought up around, a couple hundred years ago, about 250 years ago. In the last 250 years, we've learned more about the immune system. I know. So you're going to find out if vaccines are safe, effective, and the absolute best method to stimulate the immune system and protect the population, or are they some absolute fabrication that's just designed to stimulate economic revenue? Okay, next week. Thank you very much.